Welcome to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery starring Jerry Springer, along with Gene Galvin and me. I'm Megan Hills. We're recorded live in front of a brilliant studio audience at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky.
My daddy came home.
Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Jerry Springer.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, what a nice crowd, and we just
wonderful
crowd.
crowd.
Unbelievable that you come in here each week to do this, and I know Megan and I really appreciate it. In my situation, I'm trying to get enough quarters in for Social Security so I can have a dignified retirement. Because so I appreciate that you come in.
We do appreciate it. Thanks,
Would this
Jerry.
be the first time in your life you're dignified?
He would like to know what that feeling is before he dies.
Hey, by the way, and thank you also. Thank you very much for finally stopping hearing aid jokes and the gout jokes and all of that you had been doing. Because I want to mention something to you. A gentleman just came up to me. No, I'm not doing the joke about, guy walks up to me and says,
And he says,
the best hearing aid
money can buy. And then you say, I say, what kind is it? And you say,
4 o'clock. No, so we're not doing that anymore. But a gentleman named Paisley Evershine stopped me and said to me, and he was very stern about it. He said, look, I have both hearing impairment and gout. Stop the jokes. So, because I know last episode you did some gout jokes. I thought, and shingles jokes. And they're like, dude, where are you getting this?
I'm thinking that, no.
You're going through a medical
You know what I'm saying,
book.
Megan?
Yes.
You know
Yeah, but I think you're the one telling the jokes, Gene, if I remember correctly.
No.
Thank you, Megan.
Hey, by the way, you remember when
I just
we were...
signed it. Actually, I'm happy.
Oh, no.
I guess I can announce it. I just signed a new cable contract.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. Good for you. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Your show must be doing great.
Yeah, and next Thursday they're going to install it.
Hey.
True.
It's funny at the post-podcast dinner, Megan.
Yeah, which,
Here.
by the way, I find that he takes his other people on steak dinners.
Yeah. We get like chili.
That was my key takeaway.
Really? I was thinking the same thing when I heard that.
We get Skylar. He's
Oh.
like,
we're
I
good
take my
chili.
bodyguards
Yeah.
to this steak dinner
Really?
every Monday night. I'm going, well, we get a lovely
Like
Skylar dinner.
Jeff Chris Steakhouse or something. But
Jeff Chris.
you know what? It's funny, Megan. Remember we were talking
to
about, you and I were saying about 99.9% sure Jerry's going to hell. He's going to be in hell.
Absolutely.
Well, no, okay.
Well,
all right. I mean, look what he did. His show. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, at
And
least
we
I'll
were
know
talking. Yeah, so that's what we were saying. Like Benito Mussolini and Charles Manson. Dude, let's go down to Springer's cell.
place.
He's got
biggest
pole
band.
dancers and KKK food fights, and they're throwing little people.
He's got that
Oh,
beautiful
man.
view of the flaming lake. It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get over
know.
to Springer's.
Today, actually, we had a woman dancing on a pole.
Of course. Oh, wait.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she was dancing on a pole, and next week she's coming back. She's going to dance on a Czechoslovakian.
Which you can't do.
Oh, God. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Czech
Well,
Republic. You can't
That's
do.
right. The joke doesn't even make sense. And this is true. So I told the joke, I said that during one of the shows. And, the audience is mostly young people. They don't even know. They weren't alive when there was Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't get it.
Know your audience, Jerry.
I mean, I figured, okay, maybe it's not a good joke, but it must have been. That's why they didn't laugh. They would have
That's
otherwise.
why.
Otherwise, they would have laughed.
They would have,
But
yeah.
there's no Czechoslovakia
That's a hilarious
anymore.
joke. No.
But you can't say that you danced on a Czech Republican because nobody dances on Republicans.
Republican.
No.
I feel
Republicans
like we may have
don't
heard
dance
this
either.
before.
Well, they're not even. They're just.
Hey, and I have to give myself a lot of credit. I come in here and I'm able
Yeah,
to.
give yourself a lot of credit.
I'm able
No one
to.
else is.
Just nobody else is.
I'm able to laugh when things are funny, and I mask a lot of my mood issues because I have some.
You have mood issues.
But I want to
yeah.
tell you something, and
What?
this is something that's really kind of bringing me down.
Yeah.
And I want to ask this, and I'm going to start with Megan Hills, who is a human resources manager. That is what she is by training. That's what she does in her day job, and she's very
true.
good at it. And she is the HR manager for the Jerry Springer podcast, Tales, Tunes, and Tom Fuller. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Which I should be
HR
fired for.
manager for us.
She is. You didn't know that?
We have a department.
Yeah.
I'm
We
in.
have a corporate office. What are you talking about?
Right here.
So-
We have some things to talk about.
Megan, here's what I want to ask.
Yes.
And then if you could ask
How much is this for?
Jerry,
You have no idea.
case, because I've been looking at my business plan. Megan,
Solid business plan.
here's what I want to ask you.
What?
And be fair about this. We've been friends for a long time. I would like to hire, and you would be part of this, you have to be the action officer. I would like to hire an assistant to the executive producer, because I'm the executive producer.
You need an
And I
assistant.
need an assistant.
Wow. Okay.
Because I gotta
well, what I'm
tell
going to
you-
need from you is a functional job
How
description.
many time out?
Sit
How many
down.
employees are we going to
Write a
have?
job.
I need you to write out what you do. I need you to write out what
No,
you think this assistant would do. And then we'll find out where the gap is, and we'll see if you really
listen.
need one, sir. I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
If I were a
Megan,
betting woman.
This is not going. This is not a profitable venture.
Well,
What part of
well,
this
it's for
venture
me.
was?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I'm doing fine. No,
Even the cost of the fuel to fly in.
yeah, I know.
That's your
It's,
own fault. I've really got
it's rough out there. I know. It's hard scramble with those of you with corporate jets. I know. You know.
Oh, you think you have it tough?
Yeah, these are rough times. But you know, I realized that when I took the job, I mean, way over my head,
took the
way
job.
over my head.
Oh, there were a lot of people auditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, you beat out.
Hundreds of people waiting for this position.
Wait a minute,
Jeez,
doesn't look like I'm
Louise.
getting any sympathy there. Hey, by the way, recently there was an election, and let's just take Kentucky as an example. Kentucky, check this out, about 30+% only of registered voters turned out in this recent election. About a third.
sad.
And by the way, understand this, you know this, Jerry, from all the years we worked in politics. There's roughly a third to a half at any given point in time of people who are adult age, voting age, who aren't even registered. So the turnout of about a third, and then subtract out the people who aren't even registered, it's unbelievable how low the turnout is, particularly in off-year elections. Now, this year had mayor races and local issues, et cetera. But I made contact with the Ohio Democratic Party because you're good friends with them, and I know them more through you.
Yeah.
But and I talked to some of the officials up at the Ohio Democratic Party, and this is a point I want to make. They have this initiative. You know all about this. You're a fan of this, and you're out kind of pushing it around the state as you speak to political groups. They have this thing called the Main Street Initiative.
Yeah.
And they have this movement. So the Main Street Initiative is to try to turn out voters in these off years. And they're trying to organize, motivate, and turn out with an army of volunteers that never goes away. They're there every year because they see, particularly within Democrats, this huge fall off of voters in these off years. And we have to do something about that as Democrats. I'm speaking only from a very partisan point of view, because at this table, we're all Democrats. When the election turnout is high, Democrats win. I don't care who else is turning out. When the election turnout is high, Dems win.
Right.
When it's low, we tend to lose.
It's because most people are, truth is, on terms of issues that everyday people care about, more people are Democrats than Republicans. I mean, even in congressional races, by the way, more Americans vote for a Democratic congressperson than a Republican congressperson. And then you wonder, why is Congress Republican then? I'm not in. But the reason Congress is Republican is because the way the lines are drawn, the gerrymandering. I wish they'd find another name other than using mine.
That's a good point. Genie mandering or something.
If it was me, it'd be Jerry meandering. But it's gerrymandering. And so therefore they take, around the country, they take all the Democrats and they pile them into the same district. So a Democrat will win the district, 95-5. And then the rest, there aren't enough Democrats in the rest of the districts to win them. And that's what happens, why we have a Republican Congress, even though most people or more people vote Democrat than vote Republican. So that we do have that issue. So what you say makes absolute sense. If everyone voted, all offices would be held by Democrats, simply because most people aren't rich, and most people, at least if they're voting in their economic interests, would tend to vote Democrat.
Yep.
But the reality is, most people don't care about politics. Even when we put the podcast together, original idea, we were sitting in New York and coming up with this plan. We said, we can't just have a podcast about politics because it'll glaze over and no one's going to listen. Yep. So you got to put music in there. You got to put the incredible comedy we have here.
I mean, it is incredible.
The jokes
And it's
we
not
say.
even gotta. We love all of that.
Well, yeah.
That is actually our personality,
Yeah.
all three of us.
So
up
we're
here.
doing
We love all this
everything
stuff.
we enjoy. But most people just aren't
Yeah.
interested in politics, and that is the truth. But even more is most people very justifiably do not see that whoever gets in is going to change their life. And that is true, as you and I are in early 70s. Well, our whole life we had, let's say, inner cities with problems of poverty, drugs, lack of education, crime, all this stuff. Well, it's the same issue today. So after a while, you say, how many times can we keep going into the neighborhoods and saying, come on, vote for me and I'm going to change your life? That is a problem.
I want to mention some quick headlines, though. We're going to have the part-time gentleman here shortly, and we want to hear about over to Megan, for example. Every time
I
we
always
say
feel really
that,
Are we going-
uncomfortable
like,
when
oh,
it
where's this
turns
going?
towards
Are we
me.
going over to
Seriously.
Megan?
Yeah.
we have this promotion going on our website.
Oh yeah, it's still going on.
Called "Would You Like to Date Megan?"
We do.
Megan, it is as we thought it would. It's blowing up.
Sure is.
And I've been talking. So I talked to another one, and Megan, I vet everybody.
And I trust
And I
you?
screen
Oh, I
out.
saw what you did last time.
Well, I
Yeah.
messed up on that one.
Yeah.
But
The guy
okay, I
was
messed up.
married.
Married,
I messed up on
exactly.
one.
Wife was sitting in the back.
Okay.
Nice vetting.
Fair enough. Well, I had
It's
to
like
learn.
his business
Yeah.
plan. He
I
hasn't
see. I
really
don't
thought that
know.
through.
And
You're
then-
the guy that ought to vet Carson.
Yeah, right. So Megan's been clarifying what this, the specs are. So anyway, so there is a guy. I'm actually going to give his name. He's from Colorado, and he has authorized me to do this. And it's Michael Alexander, lives in Colorado, and he would like to. It's not going to happen tonight, but I want to kind of set this up. If it's
Thank you
okay
for
with
not
you,
bringing
Megan,
that in
I like to bring these things up privately so that you can tell me if you don't want to do that. We won't do that.
appreciate that, too.
You know what? I always sort of talk with you before I do this.
It's the respect. So I just
It's respect.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Anyway, Michael Alexander is going to be on our podcast in the near future over the phone.
Okay.
And then Jerry and I are going to help you vet him, but he could be. I think this guy's pretty cool. I've talked to this guy.
Oh, I'd
So-
love to know what your standards are.
Right. So
What are
anyway.
we basing this
Yeah,
on?
I don't think
Right.
you want me involved in the vetting.
No.
Now you need to be involved because
Oh.
you've been down a lot of roads. I think you know what to look for, and I think that you're going to be very good at helping determine. I want to ask you something, Jerry.
I know what to look for.
Yeah.
You were born in England, and I know the story. You were born in a bathroom at like a McDonald's or
Subway,
something,
I
weren't you?
thought.
It was a subway.
What was the subway?
It was a subway. It
Okay.
wasn't the bathroom.
It wasn't the bathroom. It was the actual. And it had to do with World War II
Yeah.
and bombing and all of that.
But there were bathrooms in World War II.
Well, there were bathrooms. Anyway, you were born in England, came here at age, what, 5?
5.
And you are very popular in England. And you were even doing some stuff with the BBC coming up.
Yep.
True. Iowa, can we say or not?
Yeah, you
Can
can
we
say,
say
yeah.
Iowa primary, Democratic convention? And all kidding aside, I'm really proud of the fact that you're doing that. I think it's very cool.
Yeah.
So you went back to England last week.
Yes.
And did I hear that you actually spoke at Cambridge University?
Yeah,
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, I went on the Cambridge campus and I said, "Do you know where the men's room is?"
Yeah, that was it.
Technically
That's
so.
what you spoke.
I can now say that I spoke.
Spoke on it, yeah.
No.
Okay, well then
No.
let's see what else we have here.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
Thank
that's
you for
going to
joining
carry
us for
10
another
minutes.
episode of.
No, they have
No,
some.
what'd
It
you
is
do?
actually, it was kind of cool. I mean, I was excited about it. They have what they call the Cambridge Union, and they have. They bring speakers in from around the world to address the student body there. And it was interesting when I was giving my speech, I looked out in the audience, and sitting in the audience is Jesse Jackson.
Is that
I mean,
true?
That's
No
true.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just So it was kind of cool. But anyway, so I'm there, and the subject of the talk which was an interesting subject because, I went on some other shows there, they interview and that kind of stuff. But everyone in England seems to be fascinated by our American presidential election. And what the British don't understand, which includes some Americans too, is Donald Trump and, because they know him there as a TV personality and obviously a very wealthy guy. And, and they see Ben Carson, a doctor. In other words, they don't understand how reality television has taken over American politics. And, and it dawned on me that they're kind of concerned because the rest of the free world, even though they get angry at a lot of the things we do, they still view America as the leader of the free world. And whoever the president's going to be, that's kind of important. And they have an interest in it because obviously decisions that an American president makes can, ask Tony Blair, can have tremendous consequences for their people. And that's what I talked about, the influence of pop culture on American politics and how we got to the point where we have, let's say, a Donald Trump and as a serious candidate for president. And he is. If you're asking me, will he be president? I think for me, the answer is no, he's not going to be. Even if I loved him, he's not going to get it. I don't even think he'll get the nomination, although that's possible because of the dynamics of how they choose and when the primaries are, et cetera. But in any event, he's not going to be the president. But how did it get to this? I don't think Donald Trump is to blame. And it's not that he's on television, and he's a reality television star. That is not what disqualifies him. What disqualifies him is the same thing that disqualifies Dr. Ben Carson. You can't be the leader of the most powerful government in the world if you've never been in government, if you've never been in politics, any more than you or I could do brain surgery if you've never been to med school. And the reason is, it's because it's a totally different skill, and it's almost a disrespect. It's a disrespect for America and for our government to think that it's so unimportant and so easy that simply someone, even if he's brilliant, that has a strong opinion can therefore govern. You could be the most successful person in business in the world, but it's a totally different skill than politics. Business exists to make a profit. Government exists to provide services. End of discussion. You ask different questions. Your relationships are totally different if you're in government. You have to have that experience. I'm not saying you have to be in Washington, but you have to have been in politics. And the one exception is, and we've had generals in American history, because that is kind of a political organization. And particularly, let's say Eisenhower, he had to deal with world leaders and try to get different countries with different agendas from Stalin to Churchill. So he knows what it's like to be political. So if someone says, well, how come we've had generals in the past? It's a totally different situation. They do have training in that. But otherwise, Dr. Ben Carson and Donald Trump have no business leading the free world when they've never run a government. Now, how did they get to the position they are? It's because for the last at least 40 years, in this technological revolution of politics, we say it started with Kennedy, but it really was in the Eisenhower era where television, you started to have televised political conventions, you started to have television commercials. For the last 40 years, let's say, every political commercial you see, whatever the office is, and it's just a tiny exaggeration, but virtually every one is negative about how awful the opponent is. That the opponent is either corrupt, is a pervert, is a criminal, get your kids off the street, he's stolen money, he's a liar, she's a liar, whatever. In fact, they even make the commercials where the opponent is always in black and white, grainy picture, and then, all of a sudden you see the candidate you're supposed to vote for in beautiful color, music in the background, sitting with the family. I mean, we have a whole generation of Americans that have grown up believing that anyone who runs for political office is probably dishonest, corrupt, At worst, a criminal. So that's what we've been raised to believe. That's what young people have been raised to believe. And if you talk to your own kids, they say, it's politics. I'm not going to that ward meeting. You ever try to talk your kid into going to a ward meeting? They'll think you're nuts. And you ever go to these ward meetings? Everybody is my age or older. So it's like we've turned America off. Now, on a presidential election, there's a sense of patriotism that someone that never participates politically thinks, well, maybe I should show up and vote in a presidential race. And then every once in a while, like when we had President Obama, it was historic. And so people kind of get involved in that. And so that's why you get
up to about 70%.
Yeah. So but that's the exception. Right. But if it isn't a presidential or someone of great historic significance, they don't want to be a part of it. And it just doesn't matter to them. And it's hard to come up with an argument why it's going to make a difference in their lives. I mean, I could come up eventually, but it's so disjointed compared to, what they worry about every day. And then we wonder why the debates have turned into the Gong show. Why the debates have become what they have. It's reality television. It is now purely sound bites. Get your joke in. It's as if we know we're being played because the articles written are about the consultants. They're working on what is Bush going to say when Rubio says this. So we already know the jokes are rehearsed ahead of time.
Yeah, the one lines, the big lines, the
big
moments,
lines.
they call them.
And that's what you want. And then you look at the analysis afterwards, and even the pundits, who we like to think are really bright and add something to it, they're talking about who had the best lines, who won the debate. This is why we have the state of politics we have today. We have turned our nation off to politics. It is not viewed as an honorable profession, which is really, really a shame. You used to have the very best people in the community running for office because, boy, to lead your community, whether it's local office or state, national, wow. And now it's become just another TV reality show. So it's not just Donald Trump. They're all becoming TV reality stars, every single one of those candidates. In that debate there, who, with the possibility, and I'm not a fan of his, but I'll say Bush has at least devoted his life to public service and government, et cetera. So I don't view him, and by the way, that's why he's doing so horrible. He's viewed as doing horrible in the debates because he's not a reality star. And everyone else is playing it. I mean, what are the things you hear about Rubio? Well, he's good looking, he's young, he's Hispanic, it's like a game. And then he comes out and says, no, I wouldn't raise the minimum wage.
Yeah, it's not a game anymore then.
It's not a game anymore. It's horribly destructive. I don't care how good looking he is.
Yep.
You're going to do stuff like that, and you want to be president, and then you give these excuses that, they're going to hire less people. They're going to replace them with a machine. Believe me, if a person can be replaced by a computer today, they're not going to wait till the raising of the minimum wage. The company will do it now. When you go to the airport, you check in with on the pad there.
We were on a news set 2-3 weeks ago when traveling around Ohio with the Ohio Democratic Party, and you pointed out as a former newsman, cameras that are now robotic cameras.
Yeah, they've done away with the cameraman. And now they're all, not all, but mostly robotic cameras. It's all being done away with. It has nothing to do with the minimum wage. They're using that as an excuse. No company in the world hires somebody they don't need. Maybe if it's a relative, but, other than those very extreme things. Yeah. No company says,
or
we don't.
Friends.
Friends,
or
yeah.
a podcast.
Except podcasts.
Podcast, yeah. I mean, that's different.
But, really,
saying.
you don't, companies do charitable work.
And
But they're
which
not.
I am.
No one running a business is going to say, we don't need these 10 extra people, but, the economy's doing bad. Let's hire them and, let them just kind of sit there in the corner. Of course not. You're in business to make a profit. Your stockholders want a profit. Every company hires as few people as they can get away with and pays, in most cases, not a penny more than they need to get the work that they want. and I think I've spoken about this before, we all do it in our own private lives. Forget running a business. You hire someone to fix something on your house, you take bids. You don't say, well, this one's more expensive, he's not any better, but I'd rather, this guy needs money, so let's hire. No, we're all looking for the best deal. You go shopping, you look for the best deal. That's the whole system. So knowing that, we better have some legislation that protects people that are going to get eaten up in the economic system we now have. And that's why you got to have things like raising the minimum wage. Well, I'm getting off point now. But it's a reality show that our politics has become, and that's why you have a Donald Trump. So don't blame Donald Trump. No, blame the political system that for 40 years has disrespected the whole idea of government service.
Hey, let me ask you another question related, personal question, and I'm not making a joke here, but how cool is it? And I wonder, when you were young, if you ever thought, caused by whatever, that you would be speaking on the campus of Cambridge University in England.
Yeah, that really
That's
is
really
neat.
very cool.
Yeah, it does feel good. I mean, that is, because so much of what I do is garbage. And, you know.
I mean, yeah.
But you know, my life is a disgrace. But, but yeah.
Hey, you know
So
something?
it's kind of neat that when you, that felt kind of cool, you know.
I will say, and I did my work in education in Cincinnati, and in the last 7 or so years, I've been an adjunct professor at Xavier University in my field, the field of education. I got to tell you, I walk around that campus a lot of days when I'm over there doing that, and I have a similar feeling, like I never, ever thought I'd be back there teaching, in my
right.
case,
Oh, yeah.
teachers who are going to be administrators. And it's those are probably the moments in our lives where, especially as we're older, that's really a cool thing. And it just feels good, and it matters more than, in my case, of having a Gulfstream airplane. I don't have the 4 houses and, you know, the
You are
mansion
such a
in Italy.
loser.
No, I know.
Yeah, but he's got that
Hey.
a really cool Ludlow City bus ad
I
kicking
know,
out, so
yeah, let's
he's
run
gonna
that
be
ad
fine.
again. Yeah,
That's a great ad.
Hey,
That's a
thank
great
you.
ad.
Let's bring in the part-time gentlemen. Let me tell you who they are. This is a
Yes.
music group. They happen to be from Cincinnati, Ohio, 3 members, and they're coming in now to get set up, and I'm going to introduce them as they do come in. We've got T.J. Hale, who's on guitar, Nick Sansoni, who plays banjo, Jonathan Dahl, who is on the bass. By the way, their latest album is Whiskey on My Breath. We have it here at the Folk School Coffee Parlor. And by the way, I always like to give props to the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow,
yep.
Kentucky. If you're ever traveling in this part of the country,
Stop on in. Say hi to Maria.
they're right
and
across
Matt.
the river from Cincinnati. And it's a wonderful place, one of the hippest music and coffee places, I think, in the country. And so we're going to hear a song by the part-time gentleman. We're going to chat with them for a few minutes. And guys, take it when you're ready. Oh, I think he just broke a string.
Oh,
You know
man.
what?
No.
So did you see this?
How many
Did they
times
give
is
us
that?
a sticker? Did you see
Yeah,
what it
is that-
says?
what's it
More
say?
banjo, less pants. I like these guys.
I like these guys.
More banjo, less pants.
You have to make a change? Okay,
Well, that's
they're going to
fine.
make a change. Do you remember, Jerry, because we've talked about this before, but you played guitar back in the 60s when you were in college, coming out of college, played a little bit of music for tips, and I did the same with a different group. And number one, it was before digital tuners. It's all we ever did, because we had cheap-ass guitars that wouldn't stay in tune anyway. In fact, I gave
Well,
you
you
for
gave
with
me,
all
for
the
my
talent that you
birthday,
both
you
had,
gave me a
though,
very
sure.
nice one.
his guitar. It wasn't the one, but it was the model,
the harmony,
and the look,
yeah.
a harmony guitar. And I took it to a luthier in Cincinnati that had to do
Yeah.
some work on it. And the guy said to me, I love this. And he said, you know, this thing's not worth crap. And I said, oh, I know. And he says, well, and I told him, I said, this is for Jerry Springer. And he says, well, look, come over here. Look at these guitars. Why are you giving him that? And I said, well, because it was
because
the
crap.
guitar. Yeah, I know. And I started on a Stella, which was even cheaper than the Harmony.
Yeah.
Hey, Gene, we did get a call in from our pop analyst.
Hold on a second. David Bruce, thank you very much, because we were about to do this. Hey, do you
at him
know
running
that
the
we
show.
did, while he's stringing up this banjo, we've hired Sarah Palin.
that's
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's
Former
right.
governor,
Am I paying
half
for that
term.
too?
You are. Well, yes, you are. And I had to negotiate with her people because she called
She's
us.
expensive,
We
I
had her
bet.
on the air.
Sarah Palin, for God's sake.
She came on the air. She left a message. I've never talked to her. Nobody here has ever talked to her. But she left a message, and she lost her analyst job at Fox News. And as I recall, Megan, she said Bristol's baby isn't going to pay for itself.
Exactly. She needs
so
some
she needs
financial
a
help.
gig.
Exactly.
And so I'm talking to her people up in Wasilla, Alaska, and they're grinding. Boy, they are hard. I thought I was talking to Donald Trump, grinding on, hey, you got to cost this, cost that, pay this, pay that. So we settled on a price or not. She's not happy about it, but she's going to do it. She's not going to do political analysis because she obviously sucks at it. They wouldn't have fired her at Fox News.
Well, then what is she going to talk about?
We hired her to do pop culture
Analysis.
reviews.
Yes, that's right.
And
That's
she
right.
left a message on the podcast overnight phone line that's in the
called us?
corporate office, which is
Where's the corporate
well,
office?
it's in the
that
corner of my
over
bedroom
there.
at home.
Just
No,
gonna say we're
no,
looking
it's
at
in
it.
my
Hey,
condo. And David, do you have it queued up? Let's hear it.
Hello, America. You know, I am just as excited as everybody for this new Star Wars movie. Maybe force the going along with you, you know. And at the same time, we'll also be seeing the return of Star Trek because they've started making a new series for TV. It's so great for America to see the return of these wholesome characters, don't you think? Great role models, like that Luke Skymaster, that brave and handsome Red-Eye Knight. Here's a guy who overcame his difficult childhood and some serious daddy issues to lead his people to victory, just like George Bush did, and just like Jeb Bush will never do. And then, of course, there's that dreamy Captain Kirk. Well, I'm not sure if he'll be in the new Star Trek series, but I am sure they'll have a guy, or maybe even a woman, who is strong and brave and really good at doing Priceline commercials. And hey, I don't want to offend anybody, but I really hope they don't bring back that Mr. Spock guy. Those ears kind of creep me out. And really, I never understood this whole thing about liking logic and reasoning. That is such a crutch. Think for yourself, people. This has been another Sarah Palin Minute from the gal who's on your side, the right side. See ya.
That's Sarah Palin.
Wow. Wow.
I
She's
just
really
think it's
bored
cool
up there,
that
isn't
she
she?
chose the
called
Jerry
us,
Springer podcast to have a connection with us. So we may hear
She
more from her
thinks
down
this
the
is
line.
going to help her career.
Yeah, and make some walking around money. And that
For Wasilla walking around
her
money?
Wasilla
Wow.
And
walking
she was
around
just
money.
a heartbeat away.
A heartbeat away.
Look
And
at where she is now.
maybe a quarter of a mile from Russia. Hey, the part-time gentleman.
Woohoo.
Take it, guys.
Tremble that I sin, killed a man in cold blood. When my story ends, hell will be my tomb. I'm going. But the desk around, looking for a place to call home. Trouble's all I find, said it will be my doom. I'm going home. Whiskey on my breath, women on my mind, love. Pistol by my breath, brothers are hunting down and going. Tell my mom and pop ways of finding call me when I die and fall. People headed home, I'm going.
Nice. Whoa! Bravo!
Thanks very much, folks. That's the title track off our album.
That's Part-Time Gentleman. Yeah, that song, Whiskey on My Breath, which is from your new album, correct?
The title track, yes, sir.
Title track, and your website is parttimegents.com, right?
It is indeed parttimegents.com.
People can get your music at iTunes, Amazon, etc. Quick history of this group. How long have you guys been playing together? And
We've been together for going on 3 years now. Yeah. We came upon, Nick and I, the banjo player, and myself, have known each other since we were in high school, so we've been knowing each other for probably more than half our lives by this point. And about 3 years ago, lo and behold, we were searching for a bass player, and we kind of just fell upon him, our bass player.
Are you okay?
Well, I mean, the initial shock of it, it wasn't good. I mean, health insurance being what it is and all, But in any event, we met our bass player, Doc John Dahl, who hails from upstate New York, and in his travels landed in Cincinnati. And as soon as literally the first song we played with him, we put down our instruments and we just hugged and said,
nice.
That's exactly what I was going for. Aww. That's right. That's that curb appeal. We're adorable. Yeah. Just adorable.
Hey, did you guys, when you guys knew each other from high school, did you play music in high school, and did you have rock and roll band, or?
I was in a band in high school for about a week.
Was it just the drugs that brought you together?
Don't worry about that, Jerry. Don't worry about that. I feel like you're judging when you say things like that, Jerry. I don't know about that. Yeah, it was a band called Odium, which Odium.
Okay.
Oh, Odium. We thought you said, we thought you said opium.
Yeah.
As a 16-year-old, you think you're pretty, tough stuff at that point, coming out with, Odium. And that lasted about a week, and then we had a hiatus for several years between that. But Nick and I lived together up in UC, up in Clifton, and we picked and dinged together. And then years later, we met John and formed a group
It's a great group. Do another song for us, would you?
called God's Golden Shore.
And
That is great, and
Yeah.
you
Thanks,
don't often hear the bow on the bass.
Love it.
Normally you're hearing it just plucked, and that was great.
Beautiful.
I love
That's
that.
that's
Thanks
that's,
so much for it, man.
that's the money part. That's Doc John
to do.
Doe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good
It's a
job,
little
guys.
tricky. I did some classical lessons and never really stuck with me as much as the folk and bluegrass stuff.
Yeah,
So.
it's nice you throw that in.
Part-Time Gentleman website again, parttimegents.com, and latest album, Whiskey on My Breath. Would you guys take us out on Irene Goodnight?
I think we can do just that.
Appreciate it.
Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my wife settled down. Now me and my wife, we are
You've been listening to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery, recorded live at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky. Thanks to Patrick Kennedy for writing our opening song, and to you for listening. Check out our website at jerryspringer.com.
Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Jerry Springer, everybody.
Sometimes I live in the country, and sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I take a great notion to jump in the river and drown.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. One more time. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream.
Y'all come back now. Yeah.